Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan and welcome to our sports show. And it's that time again. It's February. It's February of each year. And you know what February means in terms of world sport. It's Super Bowl time. It's American football time. And the Super Bowl has come upon us again. And we're down to the final two as we previewed the Super Bowl here in Irish radio here. The two teams we're delighted to introduce that will be competing for the Super Bowl this year are the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. And each year we like to get a perspective from a former player who represented both of these teams to give their expert opinion, to give that a viewpoint from that team. And we also like to get a neutral perspective. But for tonight and for our special preview and for this section of our sports show in part one, we're going to get a Kansas City Chiefs perspective, and I'm delighted to be joined by a familiar face. We might have seen him the last time in 2019. He was on the airways talking to us when the Kansas City Chiefs were victorious in their last Super Bowl appearance, and they're back again. And thus, the one and only Pro Football Hall of Famer is back with us as well in 2015. 14 seasons in the NFL as an offensive guard. Astonishing, never missed a game in 14 seasons. Walter Payton, NFL Man of the Year in 2003, three-time first-team All-Pro, an NFL 2000s decade team, and a 12-time Pro Bowler. You guessed it, the one and only Will Shields. And Will, are you a bit more relaxed about this Super Bowl appearance than you were the last time we spoke on air? Were you a bit more nervous the last time? Are you a bit more relaxed as the Kansas City Chiefs has got that monkey off their back that they've been there and done that already?
No, it makes me even more nervous now because now they've been talking those, hey, let's be legendary. Let's see how many times we can do it. So now it's to that point of just trying to figure out, okay, you guys are back, but you're still not 100% healthy, so you start picking apart the little things to make sure that you get a chance. Plus, the team they're playing is pretty tough.
And I suppose, Will, if we look back at the conference finals, on one side of the conference final, obviously, tragedy struck the 49ers. It was amazing. We'll probably never see anything like that happen again, really, and it sort of damaged that game. But for the Kansas City Chiefs perspective, what a match against the Bengals. Mahomes versus Burrows. It went right down to the wire, right down to the last play of the game. And one almost feel if you're coming out victorious in that sort of game, it must do you the world of good, given what the Eagles had to face against the 49ers, that the Chiefs are coming in against with a much hardened test with the Bengals pushed them the whole way.
Yeah, it made it difficult. I mean, you watch the San Francisco 49er game and you watch the quarterbacks get hurt and going back and forth, trying to figure out what they were going to do next and who they were going to play. And then on the other side, we had our, Mahomes that's already been hurt and beat up. And then you lose, not only a cornerback on defense, but then you lose all these different wide receivers. And then you still have the hobbled quarterback that try to make things happen. So it was really an unbelievable weekend to watch football. I really feel bad for San Francisco not getting a chance to put their best foot forward. But on the other hand, between Kansas City and Cincinnati, it was awesome. It was, a game that we knew that was going to come down to the end of it within the last 3 points. And it always comes back under that kicker's foot to make it happen for you to either move forward or go home.
And I suppose, Will, obviously an expert in NFL as well, and people were saying that bear in mind that this 49ers defense was probably one of the meanest in the NFL. And are we probably looking past Eagles in terms of they did penetrate that 49ers defense two or three times with the running game? And obviously the 49ers defense is probably the best defending defense in the NFL as well. So people are saying, are Eagles having come through that test in terms of being able to break through that defense? Is that going to stand them in good stead?
Yeah, I think so, because, Philadelphia is a fully, unbelievable rounded team. I mean, they're loaded with talent this year. Their defense is, of course, at the top. They've added some veteran players to back them up to make them even better. And then their offense has been clicking all year long. I mean, you got to look at the only games that they lost were teams that actually ended up pushing them around a little bit on the inside, being able to run the ball, and not necessarily been teams that throw the ball all the time. And I think that's what's going to make it, make the difference in the game is, are you able to run the ball a little bit, but also being able to get the ball out of Mahomes' hands really fast, playing against that defense, because they do have a lot of good players on that other side that'll make it tough on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, and obviously we mentioned on in terms of Kansas, and we obviously mentioned Mahomes is coming in roughly at 70% in terms of his physique, in terms of his ankle injury. Obviously, it's probably getting them in. The 2 weeks is going to do him the world of good, but he's still not going to be 100% on that leg. And we just saw in terms of Philadelphia Eagles, Hassan Reddick, in terms of the last game, he was ferocious out of the line in terms of getting at the quarterback sneaks, and obviously in terms of sacks as well. Philly just absolutely ate 49ers. They couldn't protect their quarterback at all. Do you think, obviously, Chiefs are a more experienced, veteran team? They'll obviously do a better job of protecting Mahomes and not let the likes of Reddick get at him?
Well, the thing I like is that the offensive line is a little healthier than it's been over the last couple of years. They're still dinged up, but just not as bad. But hopefully they they don't put a tight end over there to block Reddick. Hopefully they put a tackle and plus a tight end to block him. So I would say put two guys on him just to try to make sure that you can hold him out and give Mahomes enough time to get the ball out.
And we all know Mahomes. He's versatile in both. Because of the injury, he's more of a throwing quarterback at the moment. But in terms of the people who he sees throwing to, in terms of their rookie experience, Pacheco, Schuster, Catadius, Tony as well. Obviously, he would like the likes of Hardyman to be more fitter in terms of injury as well. But these are youngsters, and they're trying to make their name for themselves. Obviously, he has the 1-2 punch with Kelsey still the whole time. But in terms of, will Philly out wide think there might be a chance to pick him off in the air?
I think they're going to have to go with more of the bigger tight ends, bring in a couple of those guys and let them run routes and do things that way. And I think that's going to make a big difference in the game is being able to get the young guys that even haven't played a lot this year. Hopefully they grow up a little bit, get to that point where they have to make some plays.
And I suppose as well, Will, in terms of Philadelphia as well, we all know Jalen Hurts is a running quarterback. He likes to run the ball as well. He wasn't able to do that as much against the offense of the 49ers. Do you think basically he's going to try and maybe think he can punch holes in this Chiefs defense? Do you think Hurts is going to be able to run the ball more like he likes to do?
Well, I think that's part of the game plan, because we know one thing is hard to do is when you play man-to-man defense behind, which the Chiefs like to do, the one person you can't account for is the quarterback. And one thing about Hurts is he's been saving himself the last couple of weeks, especially for this big game, so that he can have the opportunity to try to run the ball a little more and get healthier so that he can run the ball a little more. And I think that's just built in his DNA as being a quarterback.
And Will, in terms of the battle of the head coaches, Andy Reid, obviously evergreen the experience. He's been around there for the decades, and then going up against Nick Sirianni, obviously second season, a fantastic job in terms of what he's been able to do in terms of the Eagles as well. Do you think Sirianni, because he's the no fear type of head coach in terms of what he's been able to do with the Eagles, that he'll treat this as another game that the occasion won't get to him?
Well, I think anytime you play in a game that you've never coached before, it affects you a little bit. You have a little things you might second guess. You're hoping that, you just come in and do what you usually do. But I think sometimes you second guess, or you try to outthink of what the other person's doing. But I'm hoping, I think it's going to be a really good game from beginning to end. And I'm hoping at the end, of course, you come out victorious. And I think that's what's going to make it tough. But I think both staffs are doing an unbelievable job. And I think they're going to be prepared. That's for sure.
And I suppose, Will, it's been dubbed the Kelsey Bowl in terms of the two brothers. competing against each other, and we all know what Travis's capability. But Jason is a really good player as well. And do you think maybe one of the Kelseys will have the defining moment in this year's Super Bowl? Do you think in terms of the Kelseys will? Obviously, both obviously have big impacts in the games, but we know come Super Bowl day, Travis has done it in the past. And do you think maybe with all the attention on Mahomes, it could be the Kelsey battle that could be the defining one?
Well, I think the best thing about it is that if you think about it, both of the Kelseys always have the ball somewhere in their hands. So they'll have an opportunity to make a difference. You know, one gets to snap it every time and the other one gets to catch it. So I think they already know that they're going to dictate what happens in the game, especially running the ball on one side and then passing the ball on the other. So I think they're going to have integral parts in how the game goes.
And I suppose, Will, finally for me to you in terms of this Kansas City perspective, obviously I know you're rooting big time for the Chiefs and you think the Chiefs are going to be victorious, but do you think this is a game that people are talking up the Chiefs after that victory in the Bengals and thinking that they might have 10 or 12 points to spare? But do you think that this game could be a one-score game going into those last 2 minutes in terms of coming down the stretch, or you think Chiefs will have that bit of a cushion in the fourth quarter?
No, I don't think the Chiefs are going to have that kind of cushion going into the fourth quarter. I'm hoping it's a tight game because, you know, the Chiefs have played so many tight games. They've been there before. They've done it. I think it's going to be a closer game than that. And I think the other way around, you get more nervous about what Philadelphia can do because they've been playing so well. You know, they've been putting up great points. They've been doing a lot of things that makes it difficult on teams. So I'm just trying to say, hey, keep it close and see if Mahomes can pull out that magic.
Yeah. On that note, it's great having you on, speaking to Will. It's been too long. We should speak more often in terms of this. But Super Bowl brings all of us together, no matter where we are in the world. And I know you're going to be rooting on your Kansas City Chiefs. Thanks once again. It's always a pleasure to be joined by you, to Kansas City Chiefs Hall of Famer, to give your perspective on your beloved Chiefs. We wish them all the best in the Super Bowl. And for you, Will Shields, stay safe, take care. God bless, sir.
Thank you. You do the same.